Well, good morning. It's Tom Padula from TomPadulaTV on YouTube and, of course, Insegna Booksellers. And this is, lesson 20. We're going to finish off today the first part of this journey of mine through the Italian grammar, which is can also be used for other languages as well, because what I've done over the last 20 programs, well, including this one here today, what I will have done is go through the 9 parts of speech and also the verbs. But today, to finish off, we have the passive transitive verbs and the transitive reflexive verbs. So in other words, what happens here is that the conjugations, the Italian conjugations, need to be understood. Now, from next week onwards, I will be doing a lot of pratica. So this is just a presentation to say, this is it, it's on the table. Now, people want to learn it, it's great. But if you don't want to learn it, then I can't do much for you. Well, isn't it incredible? I have here quite a few people: Angela, Imola, Maria Failla, Colin Ramsey, John Leonard, Sophie's on. Fantastic. Sophie, good to see you online. Your nonno is talking about the verb structure, so the passive verb. So in other words, when you say, for example, I eat an apple, and you want to do it in the passive, what happens is that you can say, the apple is eaten by me. You turn it around. And that's the passive. That's what we're going to study. And so there are verbs that are transitive. I ride a bike. I walk the dog. They are transitive verbs. Intransitive verbs is when there is no object. I comb myself. Well, that's a reflexive verb, when you comb yourself. But it's raining. So these are the sort of verb structures that we're going to study. Of course, you're not going to learn it today. It's impossible. It takes time for you to actually understand it first and then use it as well in speech, whether it's English, Italian, or any other language. These are the parts of speech that you need to learn. And here they are. And that's my last 20 lessons. I covered all these. See that? 9 parts of speech. So there's the noun, which are the words, article, which the or in, definite and indefinite articles, the adjectives, the red pen, the intelligent person, the word that gives a quality to the noun, gives it an extra quality. If you just say anything, a man. But if you say an intelligent man, then you've got, or an intelligent woman, you've got more to say about that person as a noun. So those are the adjectives. And the adjectives are also, they are comparative and superlative. So in other words, again, if you go through my lessons, these things here, you start becoming familiar. And don't worry about me now talking too much about this, because from next week onwards, it'll be pratica. I won't be talking about noun, article, adjective, pronoun, verb. I will do that whilst I am doing the song, or I'm reading from a book, or anything at all. So from next week onwards, it'll be pratica, practice, and the grammar will play a secondary role. Now, one of the things that we can do, that you can do as well, they are the invariable parts of speech, and they are the adverbs, the prepositions, the conjunctions, and the exclamations or interjections. So you have to learn, you have to know what each one of these categories is, and then work your way through. So, for example, with the adverb, I walk slowly. That's an adverb. He sings well. Well, that could be an adjective, but he sings well. In that case there, the adjective is actually an adverb in this case. The conjunction, and, but, things like that. The prepositions, to, at, of, in, and there are many, many examples. So I've done some of those, and you can actually make a list of these, of the adverb, the prepositions, the conjunctions, and the exclamations. You'd be surprised how many there are, but they're not infinite. They are finite. In other words, once you've covered them all, that's it. Then you can use them in practice. And that's why I got to a lot of trouble trying to explain, over and over again all these things, because the concept, what is in your mind, has to be understood. The concept of the grammar. And if you want to know about language or languages, this applies to all languages. To Chinese, Arabic, Turkish, you name it. This system here applies to all languages. Then what you have to do is actually do the pratica, learn how to say, for example, the days of the week, the months of the year, the seasons, the numbers in that language. So, how many languages do you know? Well, in how many languages do you know these things here? The days of the week, the months of the year, the seasons, the numbers. Can you count in Turkish? Can you count in Dutch? Can you count in Norwegian? Can you count in one of our Aboriginal languages? And that's where my interest in languages comes from. You say, how does it work? How does language work? So today, it's 11:31, I'm going to do the transitive verb and intransitive, and I'm going to start right now. Okay? We're going to start with lodare. Lodare means to praise. So essere lodato is the infinitive of this passive transitive verb. Passive transitive verb. And they have, the transitive verbs and also the reflexive verbs have got the same moods, they're exactly the same as with the conjugations, first, second and third conjugation. So this one, but I didn't want to write again, io sono lodato, tu sei lodato, lui, lei è lodato, noi siamo lodati, voi siete lodati, loro sono lodati. You can look up the verb tense in the indicative mood of the verb, and then you turn it into a passive. You turn it the other way around. The imperfect, for example, I was praised. Io ero lodato, tu eri lodato, lui, lei era lodato, noi eravamo lodato, voi eravate lodato, loro erano lodati. What happens here is that lodato, because the auxiliary verb, the verb that helps it, sono, ero, that's from the verb essere, because this essere is the auxiliary verb for passive verbs, you then have to change the ending of this one here, of the past participle. So you say io sono, if you're a girl, or you're referring to feminine in general, you can say io sono lodata, tu sei lodata, lui, lei è lodata, noi siamo lodate. You change that into the feminine. Voi siete lodate, loro sono lodate. And that's the present tense. Imperfect tense. Io ero lodato o lodata, tu eri lodato, lui, lei era lodato, noi eravamo lodati, voi eravate lodati, loro erano lodati. Now I'm going to swap this. In the past absolute is io fui lodato. I'm going to make lodato feminine. Io fui lodata, tu fosti lodata, lui, lei fosse lodata, noi fummo lodata, voi foste lodata, loro furono lodati. And then the future tense is io sarò lodato o io sarò lodata, tu sarai lodato, lui, lei sarà lodata, noi saremo lodati, lodati, voi sarete lodati, loro saranno lodati. And in the feminine is io sarò lodata, tu sarai lodata, lei sarà lodata, noi saremo lodate, voi sarete lodate, loro saranno lodate. So here we've done the present, imperfect, past absolute and future tense of the verb lodare, to praise. But then you've got the composite tenses. Here they are. Now, with the composite tenses, again, the auxiliary verb is essere, is to be. So, the perfect tense is io sono stato lodato, o io sono stata lodata. Io ero stato lodato, tu eri stato lodato, lui era stato lodato, noi eravamo stati lodati, voi eravate stati lodati, loro erano stati lodati. So you've got there the perfect tense of the auxiliary verb, io sono stato, and then you add the lodato, lodare, which is the praise. So am I expecting you to know this? No. No way known. We're going to see these things here when we are actually practicing the language now. But I won't say, I'll just refer to it and say, so that's an example there of the passive transitive. So you want to know what I'm talking about, you have to go back to my lessons 1 to 20. Whether it's Italian, whether it's French, whether it's Spanish, those are the ones I'm covering at the moment. It's the same thing for them as well. But each language has a different take on this. You know, they have their own systems as well. But they are around the same systems that we're using here in Italian. It's the same in French. But you just have to then learn how they say it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to revise this for me, because I haven't done it for a very long time. Okay, so you've got the perfect tense, pluperfect, past, anterior, future perfect. And then you've also got the subjunctive mood, etc. So this is what happens here. See that? Che io sia lodato, and then, io sono stato lodato, subjunctive mood here. That's the present tense of the subjunctive mood. Okay, it's a bit, you know, I can't present it all today to you, but this is it here. And if you get yourself a grammar book, and I've got grammar books here in the shop, and also a verb book, and you can look it up in Insegna.com, and anything else that you wish, then we'll go for it. And that's, you'll be able to learn about the passive tense, passive transitive. So it's quite complicated, but it's an important part of the grammar. And that's what we have to do. Now that's the verb, the transitive verb. Now we move that along, because I'm not going to do the whole lot. There I'm going to do now the reflexive verb. Remember the reflexive? I wash myself, you wash yourself, he washes himself. We wash ourselves, you wash yourselves, they wash themselves. So you need the pronoun mi. Okay? Ti, si, ci, vi, and si. Those are the reflexive pronouns. Again, I didn't put them here because it's too much for me to repeat the same thing that I did with the verb conjugations, are, ere, ire conjugations, and then of course the auxiliary verbs to be and to have. So, welcome to Maria Jose Angelami and Antonio Carlos Zaccaria. Well, quite a few. So now, from next week, I'll repeat again, from next week, I will not be doing this presentation of the grammar. But what I have done is that I have written it here. I'm revising it, and I'm saying in lesson 5, that's what we covered. So if you have lessons 1 to 20 and you want to listen to it, because, I'm talking too much when I'm trying to explain. So I go also to other areas because I'm trying to do too much in one go. But most people now online, they give you two lines. Imparate l'italiano. Io sono australiano. Tu sei italiano. That's it. The next week, tu sei cinese. Lui è austriaco. Etc. There's no explanation. It's just the practice. And that's what we need to do. You need the practice, sure. But this is a shortcut for you to learn the language fast. So if you actually master what these grammatical notions are, then you learn not only Italian, but you also improve your English. Because don't forget, I did the verbs in English as well, in the various tenses. And in English too, we have transitive verbs and reflexive verbs. But as I said, I will be doing this, I just wanted to present it this time. I didn't want to actually go through it like I've done with the verb before. So, if, notice here, with the reflexive verb, lavarsi, that's me. Say the present imperfect, past absolute, future perfect, pluperfect, past interior, future perfect. They always use the same pronoun. Mi, ti, si, ci, vi, si. That's it. And the subjunctive mood, the same thing. Me, but then, you use the auxiliary verb there where it's needed in the composite tenses. And the conditional is the same. There we are. Io mi laverei, io mi sarei lavato. Imperative, lavati. There's no, lavati. You can't say, lava me. You can't, the first voice is not there for yourself. You can't command yourself. That's what the imperative is. And then lavandosi, essendosi lavato. If you get one of the verb books that I have here, I've got a couple of them. And also a grammar book now. If you get those, we'll be able to go through the actual exercises as well. So I can dedicate maybe 10 minutes to go through each chapter and do the exercises together with you. But I need to know who's following it and who's doing it. So if you are interested in Italian, then in the actual language and you want to learn, you have to contact me and say, listen, Tom, I'm interested in learning it. I'm following your lessons and, this is what I'm doing. I don't know enough words. I know plenty of words. You have to tell me where you're at. What is it that you want me to cover for you? I would rather cover for you what you want than to 1,000 people that are not interested, basically. Because it's a waste. With people who are not interested in these things, it's just frustrating for both sides. Okay, so that's this is the transitive and reflexive. Transitive passive and transitive reflexive verbs. There is also other types, but as I said, from next week onwards, I'd rather do the actual exercises with you, and I'm going to go to that right now, because I said to myself today, I'm going to finish off this particular first 20 lessons. They're sort of divided into two terms of 10 weeks each. So you could technically do 10 weeks plus another 10. Term 1, term 2, and then you can do the grammar. So you get the explanation in English. You get occasionally, when you're walking, you listen to me again for 10 minutes, quarter of an hour, the whole lot. It's up to you. And then you do whatever. And we're going to, in the next lot of the next lot of work we're going to do is going to be this one here: listen, speak, read, and write. So I'll be doing a lot of reading. I'll show you some of the writing that I've done, etc. What you can do to improve your own work. And as I said, unless you know the verbs and you know the 9 parts of speech, you're going to make mistakes. And don't worry about making mistakes, because you can always write and say, how do you say this and how do you say that? And after a while, you get it. It's a long-term commitment to learning a language. And adesso in poi parlerò molto di più in italiano in questa classe, ma c'è tanta gente che non lo parla l'italiano e quindi abbiamo bisogno di spiegarlo in inglese prima. So by doing the explanations of the grammar in English and showing how English grammar actually works as well, and it's very different from the Latin languages like Italian, French and Spanish. English is different. It has got only one conjugation, but it has more tenses. So when you study the particular language, that's what you get. When we got to French, for example, when you do the phonology, the pronunciation and the intonation and the interpretation of what you read, there, it's very complex, the phonology in French. It's a lot, Italian and Spanish are more what you see is what you get, with, slight variations. But again, by doing that, we get to the point. So that's it for today in terms of the grammar. And with this, saluto alla grammatica italiana e delle lingue. And now we're going to go to actually, we're going to do a couple of songs, because that's what I had. I thought I've got a couple of books already of songs where we've done where we've used the language in that song. Let me see, where is it? Just one second. I'm just going to leave it there. Guarda che luna. Songs. Oh, yeah. Songs. Okay. I'm going to show you what we did. See that? I've organized myself. Lesson 1, una spina rosa, carissimo. No songs in lesson 1. In lesson 2, una spina rosa, carissimo Pinocchio. Lesson 3, I think I repeat that again. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, lettera Pinocchio here. You remember that? Ho tanto desiderio questa sera di scrivere una lettera a qualcuno e fra gli amici della primavera a mio più caro amico scriverò. Carissimo Pinocchio, amico dei giorni più lieti, di tutti i miei segreti che confidavo a te. And that's what you can do here, look. See that? The words. Il gatto, il grillo, la fata, il giorno, il segreto, il cuore. If you learn, welcome to Maria Anna Cassino. If you learn the words, if you take the words from the song, you end up with a lot of words. And here we are too. Look at this. Il desiderio, i desideri, la sera, le sere, la lettera, le lettere, gli amici. So this is what I will be explaining, revising as we go along. And then, of course, you want to read the lyrics, you can. You want to sing them, you can. And don't worry about making mistakes. Again, you're not a professional. You just want to sing. That's all. So how about we go with it together now? Okay, come on, all together, and then I'll go to Una spina e una rosa. Carissimo Pinocchio, amico dei giorni più lieti, di tutti i miei segreti che confidavo a te. Carissimo Pinocchio, ricordi quando ero bambino. Nel bianco mio lettino ti sfogliai, ti parlai, ti sognai. Dove sei? Ti vorrei veder, del tuo mondo vorrei saper. Forse babbo Geppetto è con te. Dove il gatto che ti ingannò, il buon grillo che ti parlò, e la fata turchina dov'è? Carissimo Pinocchio, amico dei giorni più lieti, con tutti i miei segreti resti ancora nel mio cuore come allora. Now with these songs here, if you go to YouTube, there are quite a few singers who sing them. Teddy Reno sang this one originally. And you can actually go into Italian culture through the songs as well. Okay, so these are the... Now, I'm not going to explain this again because we've done it a few times. But I encourage you to translate it into English and then see whether, some of the words you know. I mean, I'm expecting people like Maria, Fail, Maria Jose, all of the people who know Italian quite well can do the translation of this. Okay, so that's it. That's una spina e una rosa. But before una spina e una rosa, I'm going to do Guarda che luna, because this one here, I want to explain it, grammatically speaking. Okay, so that's an important one. That's wonderful. Io trovo difficoltà, Maria Faila says, io trovo difficoltà quando devo coniugare il di o da. Mi può spiegare? No, you cannot, il di is a preposition. Di means of, da means from. Unless you want to say, it's not, you cannot conjugate di or da if they are prepositions. So that's da with an accent on top, it means give. But da without the accent means from. So mi può spiegare? L'ho spiegato. You can tell me, are you happy with the explanation, or do I need to? You can ask more questions. And then the lessons that I give will be very practical too for other people as well. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm going to go now to Guarda che luna. And you can think about that, and you can always come back to me. This is Fred Buscaglione. He's a wonderful singer, very laid back. I love him. Guarda che luna, guarda che mare, da questa notte senza te dovrò restare. Folle d'amore, vorrei morire, mentre la luna di lassù mi sta a guardare. Resta soltanto tutto il rimpianto, perché ho peccato nel desiderarti tanto. Ora son solo a ricordare e vorrei poterti dire: guarda che luna, guarda che mare. A lot of music, it's a short song. Ma guarda che luna, guarda che mare, in questa notte senza te vorrei morire, perché son solo a ricordare e vorrei poterti dire: guarda che luna, guarda che mare, guarda che luna, guarda che mare, che luna. Okay, let's have a look. Guarda che luna, look. So that's a present tense. Guarda che luna. Guarda che mare. Che mare. It's a vocative. It's an explanation. It's an exclamation. Guarda che luna. Guarda che mare. Da questa notte. Da. Da means from. From this night. Questa is a pronoun. Senza te, without you. Senza te, in this case here, would have to be a preposition. Again, we've got to look it up. What's senza? Is it a conjunction? Is it a preposition? So, dovrò restare. Io dovrò, from dovere. Io dovrò. It's not doverò, it's dovrò. So this is one of the verbs that is different in the conjugation in some parts of the verb. There are 95 parts to a conjugation. So some of them are irregular. So senza te dovrò restare. Folle d'amore. Folle. Crazy with love. Folle in this case is an adjective. Vorrei morire. Vorrei is it a future tense? Is it a conditional? Io vorrei, tu vorresti, noi vorremmo. It must be a conditional. So that's where you come in then, and do you remember? And sometimes I get, if I don't have the work in front of me, I can't remember. But people then, that doesn't mean that I don't know. It just means I can't remember. Maria Faila dice, esempio, tu vieni da Roma o di Roma. No, esempio, tu vieni da Roma, from Rome. Di means of. Il figlio di Mario, the son of Mario. Di means of. Da means from. And if you accept my explanation, say, sì, ho capito. Maria, that's how we do it. If you start doing it, other people will do the same, and we'll get this learning of Italian going. It's easy. Okay? Now, vorrei morire. Mentre la luna. Mentre is a conjunction. Folle d'amore, vorrei morire. And what else do you want? Whilst the moon. Di lassù, from up there. La luna di lassù. Mi sta a guardare. Mi sta. Reflection. It's a passive. La luna mi sta. Or is it a transitive verb? This is where the problem lies for me too. Mi sta a guardare me. La luna sta a guardare me. La luna mi sta a guardare. So that's an intransitive verb. Resta, and notice, mi sta a guardare. Two. Some verbs don't take the a in front. But guardare in this case takes it. So take note. Beautiful, Maria. That's it. Grazie. That means we've concluded the explanation. That's what I need. Okay. Resta soltanto tutto il rimpianto. Resta soltanto. The only thing that's left, soltanto, has to be an adverb. Because it's after resta. Restare. To remain. It's a verb. But you can't look up resta. You have to look up restare. You've got to be able to go back to the infinitive of the verb. So resta soltanto tutto il rimpianto. Tutto. It's an adjective of il rimpianto. Tutto il rimpianto. Perché? Because. It's a conjunction. It connects. Resta soltanto tutto il rimpianto. Perché? Because. Ho peccato. I have sinned. Perfect tense. Peccare. Io ho peccato, tu hai peccato, lei ha peccato, noi abbiamo peccato, voi avete peccato, loro hanno peccato. That's how you have to learn the verbs in Italian in order for you to really make very quick progress. Perché ho peccato nel desiderarti tanto, that's a preposition. It's an articulated preposition. Nel desiderarti, desiderare te. See, that's desiderare, but because it's an infinitive, you want to put ti at the end, desiderarti tanto. Io voglio desiderarti tanto. I want to desire you so much. You can change, you can make your own phrases with it. Ora sono solo. Ora sono solo. But the person who wrote the song, he dropped the O. We can do that in Italian. It sounds better. ora sono solo a ricordare e vorrei poterti dire guarda che luna, guarda che mare. Okay, so let's sing it because it's 11:59 and I hope that today we'll start. From next week onwards, I will go into the language straight away. No, the grammar will be a part of. I'll just say on that, because I'll go through all my lessons now, and I'll be able to say to you, in lesson 12, I'll be able to tell you which lesson can explain what you're looking for. And if you get the grammar, and you want to do the grammar, doesn't matter which grammar it is, I can help you out with that. There's a lot of work here. But it's fun. If you find it fun, it is fun. And let's go. Guarda che luna, guarda che mare, da questa notte senza te dovrò restare. Folle d'amore, vorrei morire, mentre la luna di lassù mi sta a guardare. Resta soltanto tutto il rimpianto, perché ho peccato nel desiderarti tanto. Ora son solo a ricordare e vorrei poterti dire guarda che luna, guarda che mare, ma guarda che luna, guarda che... What have you noticed there? You have noticed this in this one here. There are three elements here for pronunciation. The pronunciation of the word, the intonation of the phrase, how it falls, and then the interpretation you give to the song. Okay. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. I still got another half an hour. Isn't that beautiful? I thought it was Friday. Okay, so that's great. So we've done Guarda che luna. Now the next one, maybe before we do that, I'll give you some words. How about some words? Il corpo umano, okay? The body. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to read. I capelli. You can write this down. I capelli. La peluria. Never heard of that one. Body hair. La peluria. Or la peluria. No, I think la peluria. La testa, la faccia, il viso, la fronte, la tempia, l'orecchio, il sopracciglio, le sopracciglia, eyelash, il ciglio, eyelid, la palpebra, eyes, l'occhio, tia, la lacrima, nose, il naso, nostril, la narice, cheek, la guancia, wrinkle, la ruga, mouth, la bocca, lip, il labbro, tooth, il dente, dimple, la fossetta, I like people with fossette, tongue, la lingua, palate, il palato, gum, la gengiva, jaw, la mascella, chin, il mento, beard, la barba, whiskers, i baffi. So when you've got, these sort of resources that I have in front of me, life becomes very easy when you're learning a language. But then you've got to apply this for yourself. For example, with each one, I capelli. I miei capelli, my hair, I miei capelli sono neri, o erano neri. Adesso non ho capelli. No, I don't have any hair on top of the head. So you can make sentences. La peluria. That one day, I never heard of that one before. And I'm a teacher of Italian. And I've spoken Italian for all my life. La peluria. Head, la testa. I've heard that one. La faccia, il viso. La mia faccia è bella. Beautiful. Il viso. What's the difference between faccia and viso? You gotta look it up. La fronte, the forehead. Ho una fronte larga. Ho una fronte stretta. La tempia, the temple, on the side. Here, l'orecchio. Eyebrow, il sopracciglio. But the plural of il sopracciglio is le sopracciglia. So that's an irregular plural. Eyelid, la palpebra. L'occhio is the eye. Tia is la lacrima. La lacrima, we got la lacrima in one of the songs. Nose, il naso. Nostril, la narice. Cheek, la guancia. Wrinkle, la ruga. Mouth, la bocca. Lip, il labbro. Tooth, il dente. Dimple, la fossetta. Tongue, la lingua. Palate, il palato. Gum, la gengiva. Jaw, la mascella. Chin, il mento. Beard, la barba. Whiskers, i baffi. Now, with these words here, what happens is that the more you familiarize yourself with the words themselves, then when I have a piece of writing about the body, a lot of these words will come up. And then, because you know the words, you get satisfaction from knowing. And then you can actually translate. So it's important for you to write the words down. It doesn't matter that you miss a few. I mean, look at how I'm doing it. Learning a language is a long-term commitment. It's not, it's not done straight away. Okay, now, there are also, for il corpo umano, there are more. Let's go on. Il collo, for the neck. La gola, the throat. Il respiro, the breath. Il fiato. What's the difference between respiro and fiato? Fiato is when you say, and respiro is you probably inhale. Shoulder, la spalla. Chest, il petto. Breast, il seno. Heart, il cuore. Lung, il polmone. Waist, la vita. Not to be confused, waist in English, W-I-S-T-E is the waist. But in this case here, waist, la vita. So, same word, the pronunciation, different meaning. Stomaco, stomaco, arm, il braccio, le braccia. Again, see that? Remember sopracciglio, le sopracciglia. Again, the arm, il braccio, in the masculine, in the singular, but in the plural, it's in the feminine. Le braccia. It's an irregular type of word. Singular in the masculine, feminine in the plural. Il gomito, the elbow. Il polso, the wrist. La mano, there's another one. Le mani. Il dito, le dita. So in the body, we got 4 exceptions so far. Index finger, l'indice. Il pollice. L'unghia, the nail. La schiena. Leg is la gamba. Thigh, la coscia. Knee, il ginocchio. Le ginocchia. Ankle, la caviglia. Foot, il piede. Fist, il pugno. Bone, l'osso. The plural is le ossa. Il ginocchio, le ginocchia. 6 so far, they are irregular. Flesh, la carnagione. Skin, la pelle. Skeleton, lo scheletro. Blood, il sangue. Muscle, il muscolo. Now the 5 senses, i 5 sensi sono sight, la vista, l'udito, l'olfatto, il gusto, il tatto. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. That's what you get, when you get, and you have to, they say, why, and then you got the adjectives as well here. This man is, questo signore è alto, basso, piccolo, tarchiato, stout, fat, grasso, slim, magro, giovane, vecchio, calvo, zoppo, mancino, pigro, stanco, pallido. There's a few there. What sort of a person are you? Sei giovane, vecchio, calvo, zoppo, mancino, pigro, stanco, So those are adjectives. Make a list. And as you do that in Italian, you could do that for French or Spanish or any other language. It's the same system. Same system. And don't forget that the adjective has to agree with the noun, that it qualifies with the number and the gender. Okay, verbs to go with the body. To go on foot, andare a piedi. To walk on tiptoe, camminare in punta di piedi. To clap, battere le mani. To kneel down, inginocchiarsi, reflexive. Saltare. To jump, zoppicare, to limp. To touch, toccare. Look at how many there are. To tremble, tremare. To sit down, sedersi. To stand, stare in piedi. To lean, appoggiarsi. To lie down, sdraiarsi. Now those verbs there are either reflexive or passive. Mi sono appoggiato alla sedia. Mi sono sdraiato sul letto. And then mi sono sdraiata sul letto, because if you're a female and you go on your bed, it says sdraiata. That's where this last lesson here comes handy, because you say, oh, well, you've got to learn the reflexive and the passive verb, etc., etc. To fall, cadere, riposare. To wake up, svegliarsi, alzarsi. Again, another one. Another two. either reflexive or passive. Arrampicarsi, same, to climb. To have a cold, avere un raffreddore. Now, we don't have raffreddore anymore. We've got COVID-19. Because, the minute you cough, it's a problem. Do we know? Don't we know? So we become very conscious of what is wrong with us. Then you have to go to have a test, blah, 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 blah. Okay? There we are. To have a cold, avere un raffreddore. To take a stroll, fare 4 passi. To take a walk, fare una passeggiata. To have a nap, fare un sonnellino. To have a break, fare un intervallo. To be tired, essere stanco. To go to bed, andare a letto. To spend the night, passare la notte. To wash oneself, lavarsi. To dry oneself, asciugarsi. To comb one's hair, pettinarsi. Again, notice it's not lavare, it's not asciugare, it's not pettinare. They all IRE verbs. This one here, you drop the ye and you make them into passive or reflexive. That's the infinitive. So if you want to look it up, you can't look up mi sono lavata. You have to look up lavarsi or take a walk, So you have to be aware of the type of verb that it is. So can you learn that straight away? No. Be nice to yourself. Just say, I don't know. And if somebody criticizes you when you're trying Italian and they laugh at you, because that's especially in Italy too, for many years, people, my wife said, when I went there in 1972 and I spoke Italian, they all laughed. Because they were from the Paese, etc. But she knew English, but they didn't. And you find that in Italy. Some people take, fun when people make mistakes. Or they hold it against them. But mistakes are part of life, part of learning a language. So idioms and useful phrases. The lady with black hair, la signora dai capelli neri, toothache, mal di denti, headache, mal di testa, cold, il raffreddore, sunstroke, il colpo di sole, tablet, la pastiglia, la pasticca, la pillola, pill, with closed eyes, ad occhi chiusi, gait andatura. Essa è mente sana, corpo sana. Commentare questo detto. Means if you have a healthy mind, you will have a healthy body, and vice versa. if you have a healthy body, does it mean that you have a healthy mind? So, you can comment. It's an essay. You can do that. You don't even have to do the whole essay. You can do just sentences, small sentences. So I hope that, you liked this human body part. I thought, I wasn't going to do it, but here you are. I've done it all. And it's great that I can do this with you. And that's what you're going to get in the next few lessons, in the next 20 lessons. Because we're going to go to, as I said, we're going to go to listen, speak, read and write. Now, I love the songs. Il tuo mondo we've done this before, like Claudio Villa, but I did not do the words. I did not write down the words like here, like una spina e una rosa, like that. But you can do that yourself as well, and then you can do that in the plural. But I haven't written it down, but I'm going to analyze it for you. But before we do, let's have a bit of a sing along, okay? We can't compete with Claudio Villa, but you can definitely compete with Tom Padula. Okay, let's go. Tu mi racconti di te, di un mondo che fu, di un vecchio mondo che ormai non può ritornare, eppure mi è rimasto nel cuore l'amore che tu avevi per me. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento, ma il tempo non si ferma, corre lontano. Io stringo forte a me la piccola mano che un giorno mi accarezzava, e da quel giorno i miei ricordi li dedico a te. Ero un bambino ma tu mi insegnavi a capire tutte le cose che tu sapevi da sempre, l'amore, l'amicizia e il dolore, ricordo le ho imparate da te. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento, ma il tempo non si ferma, corre lontano. Io stringo forte a me la piccola mano che un giorno mi accarezzava, e da quel giorno i miei ricordi li dedico a te. Vorrei tornare indietro per un momento, ma il tempo non si ferma, corre lontano. Io stringo forte a me la piccola mano che un giorno mi accarezzava, e da quel giorno i miei ricordi li dedico a te. Beautiful. What a beautiful song. Tu mi racconti di te. You are telling me your story. Tu mi racconti, raccontare. Tu mi racconti. That tu, you, personal pronoun, mi. Tu racconti a me. So it's called a disjunctive pronoun. So if you know the difference between conjunctive and disjunctive, you're doing well. Because it takes quite a long time to know the difference. Di te, of you. Tu mi racconti. So you're telling me of you. That's Maria. That's another example of di te. Di un mondo, of a world. It's a preposition, and followed by an indefinite article. Di un mondo che fu. Beautiful. Who can guess it? Past absolute of the verb to have. Io fui, tu fosti, egli fu. Noi fummo, voi foste, essi furono. I did it the Italian way. In English, in Australia, you say, io fui, tu fosti, lui fu. Noi fummo, voi foste, loro furono. See that? That's how you have to be able to bring it up quickly. di un vecchio mondo, of an old world, un indefinite article, vecchio, an adjective, mondo, world, il mondo, che ormai, that by now, non può ritornare. It's a conjunction there. Because it's sort of, ties the two sentences together. Non può ritornare. Non. Cannot. Not. Is a conjunction. But could it be an adverb, even though it's before the verb? Those are the questions that I would like people to ask and just show up my ignorance. Because it's true. I then have to look it up and say, next week we're going to go through the conjunctions again and the prepositions. We're going to do the conjunctions and prepositions. Why not? Non può, eppure is definitely a conjunction. Mi è rimasto, a me, mi è rimasto. That's a reflective, mi è rimasto. Nel cuore, in my heart. That's a reflexive verb. Mi è rimasto nel cuore. L'amore che tu avevi per me. The love that you had for me. The love that you had for me. L'amore that, which has to be a pronoun. That you had for me is an imperfect tense. Per me, per is a preposition. Vorrei tornare indietro. I would like to come back. I would like. That's a conditional. Vorrei tornare indietro. Per un momento. Vorrei ascoltare questa lezione un'altra volta, o vorrei ascoltarla per un momento, just for another bit. It's interesting to see how many people have come on and how many people I've bored so far. But what can I do? That's the way it is. This is what language learning is about. Not just saying a couple of words. You have to then do the work. And maybe I'll show you. We'll go to one of the. Where I put my. Oh yeah, my books. That have I got it here? No, I have to next time. We'll keep going with Il tuo mondo. That's what a teacher can do. He can change things around and say, okay, we want to do something else, I'm bored, blah, blah, blah. There's a book here called Mala Femmina. There you are. These are the books that are really important. Mala Femmina. Okay? Bad Woman. That's the song by the great De Curtis. Totò. Here. La nascita di Mala Femmina. Il primo incontro. L'amore. Vivere insieme, i misteri della passione, scene da un matrimonio, divorzio alla napoletana, cronaca di un addio, Mala Femmina, ultimo atto. And this was written by his daughter. A Totò e Diana, di nuovo insieme, because they're both gone. They died. Okay, let me read you just one little bit here. Prima di raccontare la storia d'amore dei miei genitori, ho riflettuto a lungo sull'opportunità di rivelare, senza falsi pudori, i segreti di famiglia. Alla fine, però, sono giunta alla conclusione che la verità vada detta comunque con il merito, nel mio caso, di rendere finalmente giustizia a mia madre, Diana. È lei l'ispiratrice della canzone più famosa di mio padre, Mala Femmina, della canzone più famosa, scaturita dal suo dolore per averla perduta. So it came from, yeah, but I interpret it differently. My interpretation of this song here is that Toto wasn't a very nice person. When it came to his wife, he was such a jealous guy. He was unbelievable. And that's why in the end they had to split up. But anyway, prima di raccontare, prima di, okay, before, it's an adverbial, it's a conjunction, prima di, raccontare, raccontare, to tell the story, la storia d'amore, to tell the love story, dei miei genitori, dei miei, that's the preposition, di, dei, miei, it's the adjective, possessive adjectives. Il mio, mia, miei, mie. Genitore ends in I miei genitori, but it's masculine. And you can tell from dei, di plus I equals dei miei genitori. Ho riflettuto, I have reflected. Riflettere, second conjugation verb. Riflettuto is the past participle. A lungo, riflettuto, that's definitely an adverb. A lungo. Ho riflettuto a lungo. You didn't just reflect, you riflettuto a lungo. Sull'opportunità, on the opportunity. So, conjunction. Sorry, sul apostrophe is a preposition, articulated preposition. Opportunità, notice the word opportunità. Now, because there's an accent on the I, if you want to say opportunities in English, the Italians say le opportunità. There's no change. If a word, la città, le città, if a word has the accent on the I at the end and is feminine, well, if you've got an accent, it doesn't give you the plural. Oh, no, sorry, it doesn't, the I doesn't change, remains the same. Sulle opportunità, le opportunità, la opportunità, l'opportunità. So you can't change it. So that's where you learn. Di rivelare, to reveal, senza falsi pudori, without, in this case here, I would say now that senza would have to be a preposition. Falsi pudori, pudore, shame, false shame. I segreti di famiglia, my family secret. Alla fine però sono giunta alla conclusione, in the end, then I got to the, to the conclusion. I arrived. Sono giunta. Giungere is to arrive. Giunto is a reflexive, is a participle which is unusual. Giungere should have been giungeto, giungiuto, or something like that. But giunto. So it's an irregular past participle. So do you worry about that when you read? Of course you don't. And do teachers stop? Of course they don't. Who knows? They only want to know the way the word works. My son used to say to me, how do you say this? I said, well, Jason, you should learn you should learn this, that, the grammar part. He says, he asked his mother, how do you say table? Il tavolo. Bang. Mum knows Italian, not you. Well, there you are. That's how you get judged. When you know too much, you're trying to bring the other person to your level, it's hard. It's hard. But wisdom comes out of it. Okay, so this is the type of work that I will do, but rather than from a book, I'll actually get a piece of writing. Maybe I'll enlarge it. I'll do things like that. Okay, just a reminder that we're coming to the end of the lesson 20. This is the last lesson This is the last lesson of the first 20 lessons relating to grammar via Italian to access grammars in all subjects, the 9 parts of speech, the verbs, tenses, conjugations, pronouns, you name it. That's how you do it. And if you're an adult, this is the quickest way to do it. Now, if you're an adult, rather than what I did for is corpo umano, start writing sentences about each part of the body and use some of the verbs in whatever tense you want. Make sentences. But that gives you mental use. But if you want to really then learn the language, you have to use these in sketches, in reading aloud. That's where it's at. I just want to mention that there's also here the phonology, there's syntax. Syntax is the arrangement of words and phrases to create well-formed sentences. That's what we're going to cover as well. We'll cover some of the Italian culture, literature, history, geography, sport, cooking, family life, politics, etc., etc. And at 1 o'clock, I'm going on radio 3ZZZ, and I'm going to do today. I did l'avventura di Curasin. I'm going to start reading my poetry on politics. It's going to be fun. Anyway, we've gone over time. Thank you very much for the company. I hope that you got something out of this particular lesson. And next week, pratica from the first minute that I see you. Okay, so I'll go through what I'm going to do and then we'll do it. So, ciao from Tom Padula of TomPadulaTV on YouTube and Insegna Booksellers and, of course, Insegna.com. Look us up and go to blog for these lessons, but also then look at everything else. Ciao, alla prossima.